Hey crafty friends, it's Rick. I'm back with another video. Today we are going to make a fast and fabulous Halloween card using products from scrapbook.com. We're going to be using the Trick or Treat stamp set along with the coordinating dies and the spooky patterned paper to make a fast and fabulous card in 4 easy steps. Step 1 is our card base. We have a piece of Nina ultra thick cardstock, cut at 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2 to make our top folding A2 card base. So that is part of step 1. To go along with step 1, we are going to go ahead and stamp the inside of our card. So we are going to add a couple images to the inside of our card. We're going to add our little cauldron down here at the bottom. I'm going to add that sentiment to the inside. And I'm going to stamp that, the cauldron, in Tuxedo Black. So I'm going to end up stamping it a couple times. So I'll go ahead and do that. That way I can get it as dark as I want it to be. The inside sentiment I'm going to stamp in, let me see. I'm going to do limoncello from Pinkfresh. So I'm going to start off with that, and then I'm going to add in, at the bottom, I'm going to tap on a little of the citron, and I'm going to take a sponge dauber, and I'm going to kind of soften that ink right along there. I'm going to stamp that on the inside. I'm going to do that a couple times. So we're just going to add that ink, soften that up to make it a little bit darker. This is a good way if you have just a sentiment that you can make it stand out a little bit more. All right, now I'm going to go into a darker color. I'm going to go in with just a little bit of olive at the very bottom. And then I'm going to come right back on top with my limoncello. Stamp that one more time to kind of smooth everything out. All right, so there's my inside sentiment. Now I do want to add a little bit of color to our cauldron down there. So I'm going to take just a little bit of, I add just a little tiny bit of color down there into our bubbles. Just using my OLOs that I'm going to use on the front of the card. That way that ties in our color palette to the front. Little to our little bone. So there is our card base ready to go. All right, now we need to stamp a couple images for the front. We're going to stamp our little ghost right here and this little pumpkin. And then I'm hoping I have enough room for that sentiment on there as well. We shall see. I'll stamp that little bat. All right, I've changed my mind. I'm actually going to pull in for our focal point, because these are a part of our focal points. I'm going to pull in a separate piece of cardstock, which is step 2, is our stamping and coloring for our focal point. So we'll go ahead and do this. I'm going to use this large Trick or Treat, and I decided to switch it out for some Nina 80-pound cardstock to be on the safe side. And I'm going to pull in some different shades of orange, and we are going to stamp this sentiment. We're going to stamp it all in peach fuzz. So there's my first color. I'm going to come in with apricot next, and I'm going to soften this transition up at the top. I'm going to do that twice. So we have that same ombre stamping on the inside, outside as well as the inside. And actually I came up a little too far, so we'll just clean that off. All right, I've got my stamp in place still. I'm going to add a little black ink to my little spiders, and I'm just using a Memento Tuxedo Black marker. So we can add just a little color to them. All right, so there's that. I'll end up cutting this out later. So, all right, so that's step 2 completed. That is our stamping. So we will go take that off, and we're going to add just a little bit of color to our images. So I'm going to use my OLOs. I'm going to go OR 2.5 as my darkest color for my pumpkin. And I do realize I probably should get a green. I'll do that in a sec. I just want to add just a little color to this. Now I'm going to use OR 2.3. I'll blend that out. You remember, your coloring does not have to be absolutely perfect. I'm going to come back and do a little bit more dark. I want to do the OR 2.6. Change my mind. We're going to do OR 2.5. I'm going to come in with that 2.3, OR 2.3, and fill in, blend everything out. You could even do a pink pumpkin if you wanted to. All right, for my little ghost, I'm going to start off with YO 2.3, and I'm just going to, that's going to be my little shadow color, so that he has a little bit of color in him. And then I'm going to blend that out with YO 2.2. And we're going to have a little bit of pink in his little cheeks. So that's RV 2.2 and RV 2.1. I'm going to grab my colorless blender and I'm just going to soften that edge of our yellow right here for our Fast and Fabulous 4-step card. All right, for the little top of the pumpkin, I'm just going to do OR22 and OR21. Unless I change my mind real fast. And I'm going to switch over to YO27, YO25 for that top of that pumpkin. There we go. Now, I'm going to cut all this out and I will be right back. I'm going to use the matching coordinating dies. All right, now it's time to move on to step 3, which is our background. So for our background, I have pulled in several pieces of pattern paper that I'm going to use on my card today. I'm going to start off with this background panel of the eyes. I'm going to use that first on the entire part of the card. So we will line that up to our card base. All right, next I've cut matte layers from one of the solid color pieces of cardstock. So I'm going to take this and add to this panel. If you want the measurements for today's card, you can grab that on my blog, the coordinating blog post, and look for the quick card sheet, and it's going to be close to the video. So you're going to look for that at the bottom of the blog post. It will take you to where you need to download that off of my tutorial store. I've got some scrap pieces of cardstock here. I'm going to trim this down because I'm going to use this as a little buffer to make everything level. And these are just going to depend on what size you want to use. So we're going to take 2 pieces to put over on this side. And then I've got some skinnier pieces that I will trim down and stick on the other side. And we just need them to add like a little buffer so that our card stays even. So that's why we're doing that. For our background, now we're going to add our second piece of pattern paper. We're going to add that to our pink matte layer. And again, this all came out of the spooky pattern paper pad. We'll add liquid glue behind there. We'll pop this on right there. So there is our background done for our Fast and Fabulous card. We can move this out of the way. I'm going to pull in my focal images. So as a step 4 is to add our focal images and embellishments. So I've cut out our sentiment, and then I've cut it out a couple other times just from plain cardstock and scrap cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and layer these up together. That way it gives it a little bit more bulk, and I don't have to add foam adhesive behind it. So that's why I did that. So we're just going to add that together. We can stack our sentiment up on top. Just pinch that into place, and it gives it more of a substantial feel. We'll add that over to our card on this side. And put it right in there. And then for our little ghost and bat and our little pumpkin, we're going to pop these around the card as well. I'm going to add a foam square behind my little bat. So I'm going to have him. I got a hair. I'm going to have him flying off to that side. Our little pumpkin, I'm going to add him with the foam squares as well. And as well as our little ghost. So we will pop on a little foam square for our little pumpkin. And we're going to tuck him. We're going to tuck him right there. And then for our little ghosty, we'll tuck him right over on this side. I think I want to move my little bat. Just like that. That way I have my visual triangle. Now, harder step 4 is embellishing. So we're going to take a little white gel pen and we're going to add a few white gel pen highlights to our stamped images. I'm also going to add a little bit of Stardust Stickles as well to finish off my little embellishing. And I'm just going to add it to a little bit of the image. I'm going to add it to like that one little side right there. And then I can smooth it out with my fingers. That way we have just a little bit of glitter sparkle going on our little images here. And they can act as embellishments, which saves on a step. All right, that finishes today's Fast and Fabulous card in 4 easy steps. Here's a closer look at our card. Here's a look at the inside. I hope that you give this a try, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys. Stay crafty. Love you.